Everybody, before we get into the show, a quick announcement. Jenny's going to be presenting at the APGA Annual Conference 2025 in Denver. So if you're going to be out there, come join her on Wednesday afternoon. She's going to be talking about Google Ad Grants for public gardens. And then on Thursday morning, she's leading a panel discussion on influencer marketing, proven strategies to grow and diversify visitation. So hope to see you there.
You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. Conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their missions through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media.
Jenny, today we got a spotlight episode. Joining us on the podcast is Eric Donovan. He is the Chief Operating Officer at the Elmwood Park Zoo. And Jenny, I think the theme of this episode here is like innovation. Some of the stuff that they're doing at Elmwood Park is a little bit different than other zoos across the country.
Yeah, I think a lot of first, right? So they definitely live by the motto of don't be the person to tell yourself no. So we're going to talk to Eric about a couple things today in terms of innovative approaches that they've had. And I think one of the really cool things about this is how kind of each of these events or each of these kind of, we'll say, removal of the barriers to entry for different audiences helps bring in a new audience, helps reach more people in your community, and helps make the zoo something that can be for everyone. And as marketers, that's something that, is gold, right? So excited to get into this conversation with Eric to share more about how they're doing that.
Yeah. And your point of view for your marketing work that you do has always been focusing those advertising dollars on reaching new audiences. Well, Eric, he's the CEO, so he's kind of looking at this like, well, what can we build in terms to reach those new audiences? So we're going to talk about bringing dogs into a zoo, right? Which not a lot of zoos are doing. They're selling dog tickets. Isn't that incredible?
Dog memberships.
How that's leading into those new audiences, right? They were the first certified autism zoo that's a certified autism center. It's amazing. And I think the bigger story, maybe we're bearing the lead a little bit, but this was a zoo that 10, 12 years ago was on the brink of bankruptcy. And now they're pushing almost a million visitors a year. So just the evolution, the turnaround of the zoo is kind of an inspiring story.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Hey, Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we met up in AZA and we had a couple conversations. So I'm super excited you're taking the time to share your thoughts with us. We really appreciate it. All right. So how did you get to Elmwood Park Zoo? Why zoos? How did you land in this space?
How did I get here? Well, it's been 21 years actually since I started here, coming up in March. And oddly enough, it was by way of my high school basketball coach. His wife was the director of guest services here at the time, and she was looking for people to hire. And she happened to come to one of our practices. Now, mind you, like years and years before that, since I was 8 years old, I worked with my dad. And so I was always with him on the weekends doing, different renovation jobs. But it was always like, I was under the age and not a real job. So I found out that she was hiring and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I want to be on an on the books job. How cool is that? Right. So I got through all the stuff and Saturday rolled around and I said to my parents, I need somebody to take me to the zoo. And they were like, why? I was like, oh, I have a job. I got a job there. And they were like, what? But I was 14, 15 years old. So I didn't have a car. I didn't have a license. So I needed somehow to get there. And so they got me there. And mind you, I, growing up, never had any pets in my life, nothing. Right. But I always loved zoos. I always loved animals. But I also didn't consider that I'd also maybe be working with animals because it was in guest services. So pull up, I clock in, people are showing me around, and then they tell me you're going to do your first day at the pony rides as a pony ride attendant. And I nearly, blanked myself there. But went down and, they showed me the ropes and everything went fine. It's certainly not the way we do things today where we just throw somebody into an animal encounter experience. That's not how it works. So this was the zoo of the past, I suppose. But it was definitely like, wow, okay, I'm in this. And then so for the next several years, I worked in the guest service department in all sorts of jobs. I went to college during all this time. I got a background in film and video production and screenwriting from LaSalle University, all the while still working at the zoo. And then when I graduated, I was still working here 5 days a week. I was cleaning the grade school that I went to 5 nights a week. I was doing local online journalism for what's called The Patch, just for the local area. Mm-hmm. So I was writing articles for that as just a staff writer. On the weekends, I was still working with my dad at a local family's house doing landscaping. And there's one am I missing one? That should be 5. Is that 5? Did we count that? But anyway,
there's only so many hours in a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, rang it out as much as I could. So yeah, I was working 5 jobs. Oh, my 5th was I was a freelance videographer for a sports recruiting company. So we would tape college and high school football games mostly, and then we would turn them into packages so that they could be sent to recruiters to recruit them to college or to professional sports. So I did that any random times. That was freelance. So that was kind of like the journalism stuff. I was just all over the place with that whenever it was available. Ended up doing equipment managing for that too, which was interesting. And then still working at the zoo. And 2011 rolled around. It was August. It was like the week after my birthday. So maybe this was like a little birthday gift or anything. But we had a major turnover in our senior leadership from the top down, basically, over those next couple months. But that week, they were in need of a new leadership in the guest services department. And having been there for a long time, it kind of just rolled right onto me because I was here. I know how everything was working. So they asked me if I would, step into that position. And given everything else I was doing, I was like, this is great. A full-time job, just settle in with this for a little bit, lessen the chaos in my life. But taking on this job is like taking on like a million different jobs anyway. So it really kind of was.
I don't know if it really changes a lot, right? Like a jack of all trades.
No. I mean, it was like Robin. What did they say? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was just stopping those jobs, but doing 1,000 others when I started here. But it's been great. And that same week, our executive director and CEO now, Al Zone, he started as an interim business manager. And so the two of us kind of really got acquainted and kind of rolled back our sleeves and just started working hard at trying to figure out what we needed to do to turn the zoo around. And we literally shared a 6-foot folding table, which proved to be not enough space. I don't know if you can believe that 2 people, can share a 6-foot space and not have enough room, huh?
And didn't your CEO used to play football? I mean, he's not a
Al. So he did college, obviously football throughout his life, and was signed to the Tennessee Titans. Nice. And then did a little bit of, I think, Canadian football as well.
All right, so 6-foot table with a linebacker.
Keep going. I'm here with, exactly. Yeah, I'm already a big guy myself, and I've got, we're already maxing out the 6-foot table. But, we were digging in, and he ultimately realized that I needed more space just because I was doing all the guest service stuff, and he was kind of figuring out the rest of the zoo. So he literally took the trash can next to me, flipped it over, and that's what he used as his desk. So, I mean, from the get-go, I knew what kind of guy this was and what he was willing to do to get this place moving. So, wow. It's been a lot of fun. From there, we just kind of dug our heels in. We were doing things as simple as making preventative maintenance programs, which weren't in place. You can't operate a place and make it look like it's going to close. You have to be operating like you're staying open because you need to build that confidence in your guests, particularly your members. Those are the people that have been supporting this place for years and years and years. You want to make sure that they know that where they're putting their money, it's going to take them there again and again and again, and that we're doing something with their money and we're doing the right things. So that's kind of where it started. And then it's, it really blossomed into something amazing. So that year, that was 2011, there was 120,000 visitors in attendance, about 1,900 members, I want to say. And, in these last couple of years, it's ballooned up to almost 1 million visitors annually. We're at about 90,000 membership households. It may be closer to 100,000 now. That translates into about 500,000-ish individual members within that whole category. So we've become definitely neighborhood and local attraction, like well known and cherished. And we're just continuing to spread our wings and grow till to today. And I'm happy to go through some of the history of kind of where we went from then till now, if you want to hear about it.
Yeah, you guys took some like big evolutionary steps, but Jenny, I want to kind of dig into your COO role, Eric's COO role. Like, Jenny, can we talk about like the day of the life? Like, how big is your team? Just set the stage for us a little bit.
Yeah, so in many ways, my team is everybody. In some ways, I'm a one-man person as well, but we have awesome departments that have all their own teams, and everybody works together. And so there's myself, the COO, Alzone, our CEO and executive director, and then there's also Rafalina Natali, our chief financial officer. And then on the animal side of things, we have Dr. Michelle Goodman. She is our director of animal care, and she oversees our education department, our animal keeper department, and our veterinary department, which then they have all their own teams there. That probably is about 40 individuals there. And then on the other side again, then we have our guest services department, which is about a dozen full-time individuals, but that goes up to, the 50s, 60s range in season. So you'll have your part-timers and seasonals there. We have our marketing department, which is a team of 3 with our director of marketing, Sean Rogers. And then we have a development department of 3, and we have a sales department of 4. And then, of course, we have our ground support, which is our facilities and grounds, which is led by our director of facilities and grounds, Stephanie, and her team of about 10. And then finally, our maintenance team of 4, actually, which is pretty incredible for the amount of stuff they have to get done, with our director of maintenance, Matt, there. So, it's a great group of people. We have about 10 or so individuals in the senior leadership team. And we meet weekly to make sure that everything's kind of running smoothly. I lead those meetings to make sure that everybody's got FaceTime. How hard it is to be able to coordinate with this many people in this many departments. But if we're not doing that, then nothing's working. So I tend to just be like the oil to get everybody together and moving. And they all do amazing jobs to support their teams.
So I know we're going to go into a lot of the, this evolution, a lot of things you're doing. You just described the team. So you guys are doing so many events. Again, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but do you have an events team as well too? Does that fall under kind of, does that fall under your marketing department? How's that structured?
Back in the day, it fell under me, not anymore, which is great. We started our sales and events team kind of started back when Al and I started together. That's when we started to create that kind of events program. We went from, in our first year, which I'm going to call 2012, about 4 weddings a year. That's ballooned up to over 50 weddings a year, plus countless other social events. Our corporate business is very big now, which is really important and a big piece of our sales. So it started as, internally within guest services, with me and then several other individuals. And today it's now a team of 4 in our sales department. So they sell all the different events. Each of them kind of has their specific area, but they all work together. So one will sell corporate, one will sell social, one will sell the weddings. One just sells different kind of group gathering type of pieces. And then they work hand in hand with guest services and our catering team to execute the events. So it goes back and forth between the 2 groups mainly.
Got it. Well, let's talk about that evolution, right? From 120,000 to, we'll just call it 1 million.
Let's just do it.
Yeah. So much over the roughly, just over 10 years or so, since that leadership change. Tell us about the story of the giraffes. I feel like that was a big story in terms of kind of the evolution of what you were able to bring with Elmwood Zoo. So why don't you share that with us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So taking just one step back, we kind of got our feet in and heels in 2011, late 2011. So we let 2012 be the first year of just getting the operation right, getting everything smoothed out, making sure everything was working, and doing the best that it could, right? And then 2013 rolled along, and our CEO, Al, he worked with our curator at the time, Dave Wood, wanted to find something that would be really attractive, really a wow factor. We needed something to like bust out the gates and say, we're here to stay, and we can't wait till you come and see us again, because this is a whole new zoo. And so that ended up being the giraffe exhibit for us. And so with the help of a local donor, we were able to build the initial giraffe exhibit. I say initial because there are many iterations and another iteration to come in the next month and a half. But we started with this giraffe exhibit. And the big thing was that we were going to do hand feedings every single day to everybody that wanted to do it for a nominal fee. It was like, I think it started around $2 or $3 when we first did this. And, our curator was very much on board. And so we ended up working with a service out of, I believe it was Ohio, through the AZA, to make the exhibit a seasonal, temporary exhibit. So they came in, I want to say April or so, and they stayed with us till after Labor Day. And then they would go back to that facility. Because at the time, we only had it as an outdoor facility for them, so we couldn't house them. And it was gangbusters. I mean, we went from that 120,000 visitors, we added at least another 100,000 on by the end of that when all is said and done. And we're talking about a zoo that, with prior leadership, not me, was on the verge of closure at the end of 2010. Yeah. So to go from that 120 the year before and then double that, was pretty incredible. And it started to sink in with our local base here that, this zoo is going to start going places, and we wanted to keep building on that momentum, So the giraffe came back another year, and then we were able to start upgrading other exhibits and adding new exhibits to that. So the giraffe came back, had another great year, added another 100,000 in attendance. It almost went up 100,000 almost every single year after that. And so then we started putting in some other exhibits like the red panda exhibit. So that it started to expand our scope in terms of our geographic collection. We had been a North and South American species zoo for a very long time. So this was now giving our guests an opportunity to see animals that they had never seen in our zoo before. So we had the red panda, we added zebra into the collection, and it just kept going and kept going. And then we made the giraffe exhibit permanent around, I want to say 2015 or so. The same donor that helped us fund the initial build then funded the indoor year-round enclosure for them. So they're able to stay with us all year, and we still do the hand feedings every day as weather permits. I say weather permits because the indoor enclosure is just for them. It's not for our guests unless it's a behind-the-scenes experience. But that will be something in the near future that we'll be addressing as well. So after we got the giraffe in, we were kind of rocking and rolling, and we started adding some other things. We really got the animal collection in a good spot. And so there were other opportunities that we wanted to look at where we could start to make sure that all different types of guests wanted to come, not just our kids and our families. We love them, but we want to be able to bring in, young adults for a date night or a date day or whatever that is. You got to start to diversify your audience once you have the product, and the operation running, right? So 2015 rolls around, and we were able to acquire through the state a public venue license to sell alcohol on the premises. Obviously, we're not trying to throw a party every day. We're a zoo, right? But it's a complement to an experience for certain adults that want to engage in that and, have that as an option. And it's a fun, relaxing way to enjoy a walk around the zoo, observing the animals and enjoying the nature and everything. So we did that, and we opened a bar called Zoo Brew, and we put it right by the bison because they're my favorite. And I also like the bar too. So that was also fun. And we opened a beer garden shortly after that attached to that. But also the same year, in that effort to kind of really widen our demographic. And I'm not even just talking about the young adults, but also our kids and those like the tweens that might kind of be aged out of the zoo experience in their mind. But in my mind, a zoo experience is for everybody every day. Let's just point that out. But anyhow, so we opened a zipline course. We partnered with a company and we did like a profit share. So they put in most of the investment, which was great for us. So that way we weren't having to put out the cash, but then they also ran the operation. So they brought the expertise and the knowledge. And that just opened the doors again, to another group, another age set that we hadn't really tapped into before. And then it's basically like a gateway to so many other things, which I can keep.
Yeah. Tell us like this evolution here. You got the bar, you got the beer garden, you got the zip line. Maybe you can kind of talk about how maybe your marketing evolved along that process. Like, how are you promoting these new experiences that go beyond pure animal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we had to, look at the marketing in so many different ways now. We're not just looking for the families and the young kids situation. We needed to tap in all sorts of other ways. So we were using our social media in a lot of different ways, and we're talking around 2015, 2016. So, I mean, to talk about it now, it kind of just seems like old hat, right? Like you got to be leaning into that. But at that point, it was still like, I wouldn't say new, but still untapped potential for what you could do. So that's where we started to really try to invest more in our social. And that way we could tap into those, young adults that are using that all the time, obviously, to get them engaged and get them over here. But we also used the marketing and did it in ways so that there was special events specifically, aimed at those individuals so that they knew that they had a welcome opportunity to come to the zoo. It would be something they're interested in. So whether it was happy hours or we would do after hours, festival type things. We did an event where it's a sampling event and you come and you try wine or you try beer, the liquors, all that sort of stuff. So we just wanted to make sure that not only were they thinking not just in the box of I'm going to a zoo, but I'm going to something that's so much more in addition to that experience.
You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast, conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their mission through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media. Attend Media is a media planning and buying agency specializing in zoos, aquariums, gardens, and museums. For more information, please visit attend.media. Now, back to Ryan and Jenny.
So you've been removing all of these kind of barriers to entry. If I'm a 22-year-old and I'm thinking I've outgrown the zoo, you guys at Elmwood Zoo are saying, no, you haven't. There's so much we have to offer everyone. But I'm super interested in hearing more about this kind of Yappy Hour event and how that came about. Can you share some the dog program that you've worked on and reaching those dog moms too?
Yeah, absolutely. So that really started out of the brain of Al, our CEO. And, he was just posing the question, which I love, ask questions, right? We're animal lovers. Dog lovers are animal lovers. Dogs are a part of people's families, basically. They take them everywhere. They are a part of the family. Why can't they come to the zoo? We have animals here. Like, there's got to be a way. How can we make this make sense? So he asked the question, and he really did his due diligence in terms of making sure that everyone was on board. Because if nobody's on board, or you have people that aren't on board for it, that kind of program just will not work well at a zoo. We have all different kinds of people here that work passionately for this institution, and they are also passionate about the animals that they care for. So they want to make sure that, obviously, we have dogs coming in. They're not going to ruffle any feathers, pun intended, I think, right there. So yeah, we went through the process and we did a lot of, trial and error, a lot of rehearsals. We had the staff bring in their own dogs just to see how everything would go. And then we put the rules in place that everyone was comfortable with. And I can say from then up until now, we really have had no incidents. I'm looking forward to really expanding the program, but to talk about what it is as it stands, we do a handful of days a week where families can bring in their dogs. They can pay an admission ticket for their dog, or they can get a membership for their dog, which I think is the cutest thing ever.
That's perfect, Eric.
Yeah, right?
Talk about,
And so we do that on the daily, and then we also do these special events called Yappy Hours. So those are after hours events that you can bring the dog, and the bar's open and there's specials, and we can bring in a bit more of a population of dogs than during the normal day, just because it's kind of in a certain area, so you can keep other exhibits offline and stuff like that. But it's proven to be, while not like a huge revenue generator, it's been a great, I want to say, marketing tool, because it has opened us up to so many new opportunities with new guests and other things. Anecdotally, I will tell you, I have a friend that had initially just started coming to the zoo because of the Yappy Hours. They have a little corgi that is like their pride and joy, and they were so excited when they heard about these Yappy Hours. It's just another thing for them to be able to go and take their dog to. So they got here and they were having so much fun. They came to a whole bunch of those. And then, don't you know, they then go and they have a beautiful baby son. And now they're coming as a family during the day, which is great. Now they have a membership. They've been to every event that we have under the sky. But then they also started bringing mom groups with them. So then and those people had never been to the zoo, and now they all have memberships. And so it just speaks to the idea that, like, no idea is a bad idea. You should always, at least kick the tires on it and see if it's something worth looking into if you think it's a good idea. And even if it seems like, wow, it's a zoo, we're not going to, why would we let dogs in? Like, it's worth asking the question and pushing it a little bit to see where you can get. And, I said I would like to expand that program because I think there's a lot more untapped potential there. So I'm excited to see where we can go with it. But from what it has yielded for us and generated, it's been really cool just to see kind of that rolling effect to build from coming with your dog to now you're bringing a whole bunch of other families that were never at the zoo before. So it starts small and then it gets bigger and bigger. And now they'll all be bringing other friends and other friends. So it's just a really cool way that it kind of blossomed.
And I mean, talk about just marketing gold there in terms of the content. You've got, I mean, I think people love to show off their kids on, social, but they love to show their pets off even more. So
oh my gosh, absolutely. And everyone loves to like those ones too and share those ones too, right?
Yeah.
We had dog influencers at one of our Yappy Hours. I didn't know that was a thing, but they have a huge fan base and it was so cool. And these dogs were really cool. And, we actually got connected to them because we work really closely with our local tourism board. It's the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. So they always, their tagline is basically something along the lines of, we have 99 golf courses, we have X many hotels, we have this, that, the other thing, all in Montgomery County. And it always ends with, and we have one zoo. So we worked with them to get those dog influencers over here, but that was kind of just like a little nugget of like their involvement and their creativity and wanting to help us kind of keep that ball rolling and make that even more interesting than it already was.
Oh, brilliant idea.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Elmwood Park Zoo becoming the first certified autism center. Kind of this barriers of entry. How do we get newer audiences that might not be coming to the zoo every day? How do we reach out, build something specifically for a segment of the population?
Yeah. So my involvement with this program actually first started when I saw a release about Sesame Place right down the street in, is it Langhorne, I think? They had been designated as the first amusement park to be a certified autism center. And I had never heard of this before. And I was so curious. So myself and our director of guest services, Morgan, we started looking into it and realized this is a really great opportunity for us to get more education about more accommodations for our guests with all different kinds of abilities. And so it was through a group called the International Bureau. It's IBBCES. I don't want to butcher their name, so I'll just go with their acronym. Sorry, guys. But they're great. They provide, so you'll engage and partner with them, and they will give you the training for X number of employees. They will give you an on-site evaluation. They'll work with you to create what's called a social narrative. So that's something that individuals can read before they come to the zoo, so they have an understanding of what the experience is going to be like. They also help us with a sensory guide, which basically rates every single area of the zoo on a scale of the 5 senses, what's more sensitive versus more intense kind of situation. So there's a lot of those different things that is included with that. And it provides a much more well-prepared and rounded experience for those guests that do need that. And like Jenny, you were saying earlier, we want to be taking barriers down as often as possible for people. We don't want to have any walls up. We want everyone coming here and feeling comfortable and accommodated. And so this was really just the first step for us to get there. But we did get the designation as the world's first zoo to be a certified autism center. And I believe that was back in 2018. And it's a very proud thing for the zoo. We're really proud of taking that kind of step in that direction. And we've seen that a lot of other institutions have done that since then. I will say that it's an absolutely great piece for marketing because we want those individuals to come here and feel comfortable. And we want to make sure that they know that we're here for them. So it's just another way for us to make them feel more comfortable and have everything they need. And we build that into our programming now. So everything that's being built moving forward has that kind of in mind. We just opened a brand new state-of-the-art 39,000 square foot building, a new vet hospital, a new welcome center, new gift store, ticketing, a welcome plaza, new exhibits, all up front. And this was a piece that was definitely of top mind. So included in our new building is a restroom designated specifically for adults with special needs. We have an adult changing table that is on a electric up and down, for lack of a better word. But that was one piece we were like, we want to make sure that this is included because we want to make sure that all of our guests have that opportunity to have those accommodations. Because that could be the end of the day for somebody if there's a problem, for them to have that resource instead of having to leave and go home. It's really important to do that. We have guests with special needs that are in their adult ages, and so they have elderly parents taking care of them. So we want to make sure that those guys can come here and not have to worry about that type of thing. And then it kind of just runs the gamut from there in terms of wanting to make sure that everybody has what they need as best as we can.
Yeah,
like you guys are taking these. I mean, I love that philosophy, right? A zoo is a place for everybody, but then you're mixing that with like innovative ideas and then actual execution. I mean, you said this dog program took a couple of years to get it from an idea to, oh my gosh, we're actually selling dog tickets right now. So it's the coming from a good place, the innovative, I can't say that word, an innovative idea, and then the actual execution of it. I mean, that's probably why this zoo looks dramatically different than it did 10, 12, 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And it's just a testament to the team that we have here and their willingness to continue to adapt and be flexible and be open to new ideas. Because without them, we can't roll that ball up the hill, push forward, move forward, And it's also, again, a testament to them in the sense that they also are on the front lines. And they're providing the feedback about what these guests need, So it's a great all around team effort for us in terms of just constantly trying to find ways to take those barriers away.
Yeah, Eric, I can see why you're in that role. You're a team player. All right, here it comes. Our famous last question. Jenny, you want to do the honors for this one?
All right, Eric. You guys do so much at Elmwood Zoo. Help our listeners out with what do you think other zoos and cultural attractions should be doing more of, or perhaps even less of, when it comes to marketing their attraction?
Mm-hmm. I would say that all institutions, not just zoos, not just aquariums, we don't have to put ourselves in boxes all the time. And that's why I would say open this up to anybody, right? Never think that there's something that you should stay within just because you're a zoo, just because you're an aquarium. At the end of the day, we're all here for the same mission, which is to support the animals at our institution and to support species survival and conservation. So I don't think that any kind of idea is a crazy idea. All ideas are worth exploring, to a degree. Like I said, kick those tires, ask the impossible question, and see where it gets you. Because sometimes it's going to get you pretty far and it might turn into something really amazing. So, from a marketing standpoint, don't don't be afraid of so many of the what ifs. How about the what can it be's instead, or something like that, I guess. So yeah, always keep pushing. Don't ever keep yourself limited in what you think you can do as a zoo or as an institution, because there's always going to be a solution. That's what I do every day, is figure out solutions for the craziest thing. So nothing seems crazy to me anymore. Maybe that's the problem, but
and Eric,
that also could be a solution.
Well, it's funny because it's like the 14 or 15-year-old self, when you're kind of talking about your journey and getting into the zoo, you said, I actually wrote this down on my notes. Yeah, I'll do that. So it's kind of carrying over to now. It's let's give it a shot. Let's explore it.
It's like the classic improv rule. Yes. And just keep going. Right.
Love that.
All right. Eric Donovan, the COO of the Elmwood Park Zoo. Eric, thank you so much for your time. Good stuff, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. If you have a suggestion for a topic or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at marketingattractionspodcast.com.